Welcome, my name is Mark Wright and this is Aspire Dating, where we aspire to improve your dating and relationships. Start to rebuild your life, bring joy in your life, become who you were meant to be, become your true self.
Aspire to make a difference.
In this episode, we're going to talk about first dates. One of the things I highly recommend is to put your best foot forward. Take a shower, brush your teeth, do all the main things. As I said before, it's kind of like a job interview type thing, but it's also a job interview in a way on both sides. So you definitely want to put your best foot forward. You want to, wear something nice. You don't have to go, suit and tie or anything crazy like that, but you don't want to be going in a hoodie or you want to be wearing sweats. With women, I would recommend, putting on makeup if that's something you do. If you like to wear makeup, then wear makeup. If not, then that's fine too. Again, this is a thing where you're trying to get to know each other. I highly recommend having a coffee or having a drink. I usually tend to pick places that have food available, so you can turn it into more of a traditional date if it's going well. And if it's not, the nice thing about a coffee or a drink, you can kind of, cut it down to 15, 20 minutes if it's not going anywhere. You usually will get a good vibe within the first few minutes. You'll know whether you want to spend an hour with this person or not. For me, it had been, it'd probably been 17 or 18 years since I'd been on a first date when I got separated. And I definitely had a lot of nervousness about it for sure. We just went for a coffee and it was pretty mellow, pretty easy, but we hit it off and then ordered some food afterwards and they just started talking and really hit it off really well. I've also had first dates that went horribly where you want to get out of there within 5 minutes. You're like, okay, this is not going well at all. And then you have to figure out how to end it without being, rude or anything like that. That's also why I have actually made the mistake of several times going on dates where we had a full meal and then you're sitting there in the meal going, okay, when is this going to be over? You're paying a $200 tab or something and you know that you're not going to want date number 2. So that's why I highly recommend not doing that. And I also found that there's some women that's what they want. They basically want a free fancy meal. And that's, something to be cognizant of. And again, dating can be kind of scary. You're going to be having butterflies and be nervous. Usually it's much more nerve-wracking, of course, when you're hitting it off. But if you're hitting it off really well, it'll just kind of flow. Things just kind of smooth out.
I'll take you to the candy shop.
I'll let you lick the lollipop.
In a way, it's kind of like an interview, but you want to make sure you're chill about it. Don't just bombard the person with questions. Don't keep going in there saying, hey, where were you born? And why were you, let the conversation flow and one thing I always try to do is, hopefully you've studied the person's profile. So you know what commonalities you have. So kind of make mental note of the things you have in common. If the person's into meditation, talk about it. Or if they're into yoga or if they like to hike, whatever, if they play guitar or like certain kinds of music, talk about things that you have commonality with that person, because that really makes the conversation flow and makes it so that it's an interesting person. And, people like to talk about themselves. And if the conversation starts to dwindle, ask a question. Put a question out there. What made you get into hiking? What made you, the person's into sailing? What got you into sailing? You could find out that their dad used to have a sailboat and take them out sailing. That's great. That's something that would be really fun to pursue. And it also can be things that maybe you don't have a commonality, but something maybe you've always wanted to try. Like if the person, like I said with the sailing, maybe you said, I would always love to sail a boat, but I never have. One thing I highly recommend is when the date is kind of winding down, I strongly recommend giving at least a hug to show that you're interested and you're not just, wanting to be friend. And you can even talk about that kind of thing, what are the next steps. Sometimes you'll feel comfortable and both want to, kiss or do more things like that. That's fine too. But in this day and age, at least my experience has been, you don't have to do a kiss. But I do have found that if you're not doing a hug, you're kind of showing a different kind of vibe. The other thing I almost always do too, if it's gone well, is I usually put an idea for the second date. before it's over. So if it's like a Saturday night, I'll kind of figure out ahead of time what, hey, maybe next Friday I have available or something. And you come up with an idea for the next date, especially if it's going well. Because otherwise sometimes you don't do that, and then, just kind of falls flat from that. One other thing I recommend after the date is, I know there's an old adage, wait 2 or 3 days or all this stuff to reply and stuff. At this point, to me, don't play games. Games are, really, especially from women I've talked to, women hate games. They hate games, especially early on. If you want to get a girl to ghost you, start goofing around with playing games in this kind of arena after a first date or even before. Those are the kind of things that they really strongly dislike. So I always send a text. You don't have to make it elaborate, but just, thank you for your time. I had a good time last night. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday. And that can be the extent of it. I don't continually, message them throughout the day. Oh, it was so great. I'm looking so forward to the date coming up. No, don't do stuff like that. Just be chill, relax about it. Like I said in the previous video, I continue to, do my good mornings and checking in with them throughout the week and see how they're doing. And, if you're supposed to get together on Friday and it's Wednesday and she's got the flu, say, oh, I'm sorry you got the flu and everything like that. One other key one I always recommend is for first or second date, if you have to cancel, reschedule. Do not just flat cancel unless you are not interested. If you're not interested, that's one thing. But if you're interested, reschedule, do not cancel. Because if you cancel, a lot of times they're thinking you're going to ghost them. And it goes for both men and women. If you're a woman and you cancel on a guy, the guy's going to maybe go on to somebody else and just assume you're not interested. And the same thing with a woman. She may think you're not really interested. And even if it is a second date, people think, why would people get ghosted on a second date? Hey, people get ghosted when they've been dating for 2 or 3 months these days.
Bye, Felicia.
Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you with your first date encounter and how to go about setting it up and how to get through it without pulling your hair out. So thank you. Please like and share this video with anyone who may benefit from its content. It's word of mouth from people like you who will help this channel to grow.